Tonight is November 30th. We will talk about next week's outlook and the December levels together. First, let's review last week's market action and the overall performance for November. Last week was from November 24th to November 30th. For Bitcoin, the weekly high closed at $93,082, reaching two targets. The weekly low was $84,667, and it did not continue falling to the downside target. For Ethereum, the weekly high closed at $3,099, also reaching two targets. The weekly low closed at $2,763, and just like Bitcoin, it did not continue falling. My daily updates stopped after November 19th because it was a downtrend. I had already written the lowest downside target of $82,000 in advance. When price broke below earlier levels, all I could do was hope Bitcoin would hold this area. Thankfully, it did hold, but whether it will break again in December requires further observation. The best scenario right now is a slow upward consolidation. That was truly nerve-wracking. Before the end of September, I already said the worst-case area for this pullback was $89,000. Later, when price fell faster than expected, on November 9th, I added a final defensive level at $82,000. Originally, I expected the market to decline from November 19th to around November 27th. But I also said earlier that if price reached around $89,000 or $82,000 ahead of time, the market might stop falling and turn into a consolidation phase. Bitcoin wicked down to $80,632 on November 21st and stopped falling. I had expected the bottom to form between November 28th and 30th, but the market stabilized early around the 80,000 level and began a weak upward consolidation. On November 28th, Saturn finished its retrograde. Bitcoin attempted to push toward the 20-day moving average, but failed to break the daily resistance near $94,000. Today, November 30th, Mercury also ended its retrograde. Bitcoin touched the 20-day moving average again and pulled back. The current price is around $87,000. This is still a weak consolidation zone. However, the 20-day average is trending down now, so if price slowly climbs back toward it, breaking $94,000 will become easier. For December 1st to 7th, the expectation is either a small rise or consolidation. Right now, the market is moving in a narrow sideways range while creeping upward. You can simply refer to the daily range I marked. If $80,000 truly is the bottom of this phase, then price should not break below the daily range again. Consolidation means price moves up and down inside a range. All you need is patience and wait for a breakout above $94,000. Many people asked whether Bitcoin will go retest the 70,000 area in December. Anything is possible in the market. If we want a strong rebound in December, then $94,000 must be tupo. If the rebound is weak, then the risk of revisiting the bottom again remains high. Personally, I hope Bitcoin can break above $100,000 this month. January next year is also dangerous because the overall trend has not reversed yet. So for now, any upward move I treat as a rebound, not as trend reversal. If price falls below the yearly low, then it is essentially a bear market scenario. In that case, the market could potentially fall all the way toward $10,000 to $30,000. However, I still believe the true bear market is more likely to start around June next year. If we retest the yearly low again, I consider $71,000 as my strong support and psychological bottom line. If this level breaks, then we are likely to see prices starting with 60-something thousand. So personally, I think the $80,000 bottom is very likely to be tested again. But the market decides, not me. Always trust the candlesticks. This is only my personal view. On November 19th, I also launched a poll asking whether Bitcoin would break below $80,000 in November. So far, a total of 1,332 people have voted. Before November 21st, the votes were roughly evenly split. But when Bitcoin broke below $85,000, the results suddenly became one-sided. Most people believed November would see prices in the 70,000 range. However, the fact is, Bitcoin did not break below $80,000 in November. Let's briefly review the November chart. Bitcoin did not reach any upside targets, and all downside targets were achieved. Ethereum also failed to reach its upside targets, completed 2 downside targets, and almost reached the final one. The weakest part this month was between November 15th and 18th, when there was no meaningful rebound. That caused the market to drop directly to $89,000 on the 19th. As for altcoins, if you believe in a coin, hold it. If you don't touch it. Let's briefly talk about a few major ones: Cardano, Sui, and Solana. For Cardano, something negative seems to be happening recently, but I honestly don't fully understand it, so I have not followed it closely. I watched an explanation video by a YouTuber who specializes in Cardano, but I still didn't completely understand it. Cardano's structure is weak. This year, it failed to break last year's high. The all-time high is $3. Many hope it will return to $3, and some even expect $5, $6, or more. Of course, I hope so too. But based on the chart, I personally do not see technical confirmation for that yet. When I first mentioned Cardano, I already said it was unrealistic in the near term. It may take another 2 to 3 years before a real push toward a breakout above $3 becomes possible. Sui is similar to Cardano. It failed to break last year's high and also broke below the yearly low, but its structure is still slightly stronger than Cardano. This new low is likely to become strong support. If price drops again in the future, it is less likely to be broken. If you bought a lot of Cardano recently and don't know when to sell, I think $0.8 is a reasonable level to reduce some positions. This level is likely to be reached. Whether it can break above $1 again remains uncertain. Solana is performing better than both Cardano and Sui. It surpassed last year's price highs, and the candlestick structure looks healthier. It has not broken into new lows. If you look at the daily, weekly, and monthly trend lines I drew, you can see the structure clearly. If support holds, then price will likely continue climbing gradually. All these altcoin views are based on the assumption that they continue to follow Bitcoin. If they start moving independently, then extra caution is required. This is just a general overview for reference. Next week is from December 1st to December 7th. I will not read out the exact levels here. You can take a screenshot and save them. Bitcoin needs to hold above $89,500 before we can expect any upside targets. Ethereum needs to hold above $2,950 before upside targets are valid. If they fail to hold the midpoint levels, you need to clearly understand that upward targets will no longer be possible. Finally, this is the outlook for December. Bitcoin needs to hold above $94,200 before we can expect any upside movement. Ethereum needs to hold above $3,180 before upside movement becomes possible. Otherwise, the market is still considered weak. Personally, I believe this Bitcoin rebound will most likely first target the mid-month level and then move toward the first upside target. Only if it becomes strong enough could it reach the second upside target. Alright, that's it for today. Weekly forecasts should never be viewed alone. They must be combined with daily and monthly charts. The daily charts fill in what the weekly might miss. I wish you all the best. May you buy at the bottom and sell at the top. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you found this helpful. Send this to your friends too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.